Okay, so happy Sunday, black women. Good afternoon, because it's like a little bit after 12. I'm in the back. I had to drop something off to my daughter's house. But listen, the video preceding me, I want y'all to really understand the context of the conversation that Nosy Neighbor Lady is saying, and what I'm going to add to her, what she add to her video, what she said that I totally agree with, right? But I have to explain this part to you, okay? Now, it's not lost on me that you have many channels on YouTube, like Divested Zealot and etc., trying to literally brainwash black women into voting against their best interests, in regards to voting for extremely racist white men and women who are in the Republican Party that collectively are after total control of the country. Now, I know a lot of black women do not pay attention to politics the way that they should. So, so the things I'm saying right now might seem like it's an issue where you just want to take sides because you like somebody else versus me. But I am trying to implore you to be smarter than that, and actually learn how the political system and structure and law enforcement structures work or systems work in America. Like, you have to understand, right, that this country is supposed to be a democracy, meaning that it's supposed to be a bipartisan situation with all parties, not just Democrats and Republicans, whatever other parties are involved in the decision making, and not just at one branch of government, but at all. So by that I mean city, state, and federal, right? Not the legislative branches. I don't mean that, but even they're supposed to be give and take. So when you have these women on these channels, especially, I told y'all before, you want to believe in shit that you can't see, you got to stop fucking with these channels where people don't have faces. And for one reason mostly is because it was proven that the Russians play with the politics and they deal with the influencing of people in America, how they vote, by use of websites, YouTube channels where you don't see the person, it's always an avatar. Sometimes if there is a very popular person, depending on what it is, they use deepfake. They also use pro chat GPT and etc., and other programs that have come out since then that is better than chat GPT. So what you got to remember is that you're living in a digital world, right? You don't have time to be a person that is still doing everything manually. You got to catch up, right? So when you have these people that you really don't see their faces, you can't really tell if this is a real black woman, because deepfake and pro chat GPT and tone and all the rest of them, they literally can create a personality, a voice, everything to trick you into thinking that's a real black woman, and promote all of the anti-blackness, self-hate, and all of that they want, the separation and divide, all of that. So be very weary of shit like that. I've said this many times before, and I'm pretty sure that I hit one of them on point, because ever since I exposed that person, I have not seen them make another video. So you have to be careful about who it is you're dealing with, and stop being taken in just off of pure, like, not even happenstance, but pure delusion and wanting to believe in these people. Like, if you've never seen these people and you don't really know that they exist and they interact with real individuals, don't be so quick to be jumping on the bandwagon and following them, because you don't even know if that's a real black person. Computers, are that sophisticated, and intentionally whites and others put agents in our community to keep us dysfunctional, keep us fighting amongst ourselves and voting against our best interests, because when we do that to ourselves, we make life better for them, and we maintain all of the chaos, misery, misfortune, and maltreatment that we experience. So there's going to come a time where you're going to have to grow up. You're going to have to learn that because something is not to your liking or may not be exactly what thrills you, it might be better for you than something that is engaging the ignorance that you like to be involved with, whether it's dramatization with what the next video I'm going to show you is talking about, or just straight out hatred, jealousy, and stupidity and pettiness towards another person that looks just like you. You're going to have to learn that there are levels to everything, and you have to start thinking more age appropriately, and think in the context of the situation. If it deserves more thinking, yes. If it deserves a laugh or a dismissal, yes. You're going to have to get to that point and stop just cult following people because everybody else is doing it. So I'm bringing this up because in the video following me with nosy neighbor lady, she makes some point about Carly, but she also says something that is repetitious of other content creators with the whole trying to shit on the Democratic Party. Now, you got to understand how things work in America. There's no one win for everybody. That is just not how it works here, right? So when you're talking about voting, you have to understand that you should be voting against all party lines and voting for the best candidate that works in your favor. Not voting as a block Republican or a block Democrat, because that is when people take advantage of you and they use you, and you never get anything out of the representatives who are supposed to be working in office for you. So the best way to win is to vote across lines and withhold your votes from people that think they're automatically going to get your vote. That shows them that they got to work for it. The other part is that when she mentions this whole thing that people tend to extend from democracy or the Democratic Party, is this shit about no bail reform. Now, I'm going to tell you again, being in law enforcement, right? Do not believe the stuff that people are telling you online in reference to no bail reform. First off, in every single state, the laws are different concerning however they come up with their no bail reform. And no bail reform is not about cutting people loose and allowing them to make crimes, even though that's usually what they do in the majority of the cases, but that's not what it's about. What it is really about, and what it initially came from, was the fact that in this country you have a thing called due process. You need to look that up, right? So, but what was happening is because in most of the major cities in America, they're heavily black populated, so don't believe that shit about 13%, right? They're heavily black populated with all other people of color. So to control the people and to maintain white people's control, they were keeping people in jail, locked up, and not abiding by the legal due process of the law. Like, they would keep people in jail upon arrest for years and years before they even seen the judge. Even after they saw the judge, if there was another step to the due process that was supposed to be taken, those people would pretty much rot in jail or actually in prison until they actually went through the legal steps that are supposed to happen within a time frame in prison, which is why New York State and several other states sued, because of the fact that these prisoners and detainees, because it was both, some people were completely innocent and some were guilty as fuck, they were being held illegally. So this is where this comes from. So when you hear people making blanketed stupid statements where they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, when they're saying, oh, you don't vote for the Democratic Party because they're all about bail reform, and this only came out of you guys hooping and hollering about Black Lives Matter and don't shoot, the riots and rallies that happen after a black male gets shot. That is not what this is about. Although that influenced and helped along the process, but these lawsuits have been in the works for a decade or more, because this stuff started back in the Rockefeller law days, okay? That's how old this is. This is in the 1990s. These lawsuits had started, and there were even some before that in the 1980s when people got killed by cops like Anthony Baez and etc. So please be well informed. Don't just take the fact that you got a whole bunch of women that are anti-black male spewing a lot of shit at you that is not factually correct or historically correct. to get you to vote against your best interest. You gotta understand, black women, ultimately, when you vote, you should be voting for things that affect you in society. Things that happen within your home, you are supposed to be the person in control of that. If you got somebody in your home fucking you up, fucking your kids up, treating you like shit, making life miserable for you and them, beating your ass, raping your children, etc., you need to get them the fuck out of there. That is not a judge's job. That's not a cop's job. That's not anybody's job initially. That is your job. That is your job to be able to get into the situation, make the proper assessment, because there's no such thing as absolute vetting, okay? People do not walk around with pedigrees on their forehead telling you that, I'm presenting to you, I'm a really nice person, but deep inside I'm a fucking homicidal maniac, or I'm a complete sociopath, psychopath, and I'm pretending. Because that's usually how those people behave. So throw that shit out the window about you should have chose better, because until every single person walks around with a pedigree on their forehead where there are no deceptions, there's no way in the world you could ever choose a decent person, because you can't tell if they're decent or full of shit, because everybody hides their true character. Understand that. But when you're in relationships and you got people there that are not doing the right thing, you can most definitely see the red flags, get rid of them, and then invoke other agencies to do their jobs when you need to. When people are committing domestic violence, child abuse, sexual assaults on children or women, that is when you call the police, get your orders of protection, go to the police or judge or wherever you have to go in the state you live in to get a firearm legally or whatever else to protect yourself and control your household. So when this woman that's going to precede me is speaking, keep in mind what I told you. Due process is what everybody in this country has a legal right to, which is why the no bail reform came along, because prior to that, people looked at anybody of color and African American people as criminals and did not deserve to be allowed due process because they were poor and normally could not afford it. So that is what true bail reform was supposed to resolve. The fact that poor people were supposed to be given an equal opportunity, just like rich people, to get out of jail or get out of jail before going to prison for any crime they committed, because after you're arrested, there is a time frame before you go before the judge to be given a sentence or you begin your trial or whatever. So that is what bail is supposed to be for. So when these people are out here talking about, oh, this is your fault for this, it's not your fault. Did you contribute to helping people maybe sway their decision? Yes. But did Black Lives Matter demonstrations only result in the bail reform change? No, they did not. Those lawsuits have been in there way before any of that George Floyd, Eric Gardner, or anybody else came into play. So you need to understand these things. And even if you still feel this way today, you got to be knowledgeable and you have to have empathy and you have to have the right mindset. If your ass got arrested today or tomorrow, you would want to get arrested, get processed, and be sent the fuck home, unless there's a part I forgot about. If there are some crimes that are not open to bail, but I'm not getting into that today. Like, there are some crimes you commit where the judge is not going to give you bail because you're too much of a danger to society, okay? So know that right away. And then also with the bail reform, certain crimes that you get arrested for that are non-violent, automatically you get released, whether there's no bail reform act or not. That's just how law goes. So that's why I'm saying to y'all need to really know what's going on before you just get out here willy-nilly listening to people that are just trying to railroad you into a fucking Jim Crow situation. You saw what they did in Mississippi with Senate Bill 1020, creating an entirely new goddamn court that is illegal, but they allowed it because people voted for it, right? Where these people get to override and oversee, like an overseer, the crimes of Black people only in a certain part of Mississippi. This is what they voted for. So now when you listen to people like Sylvester Zealot and others who are pushing and pushing and pushing, trying to sell you the dream of the fact that all of the people in the Republican Party are your saviors and your messiahs, you will fuck yourself up. And you will literally be out here giving up all the rights that all of our foremothers and the civil rights people fought to obtain for us, because that's what would happen fucking with them. And if you don't believe that, just go read once again the entire fucking decision of Roe versus Wade, and it will literally itemize chronologically, one after the other, all of the areas of society that these people currently in the Supreme Court decide to take your rights away. Because every time in America, white people are outnumbered by black people and other people of color, and you're living better in life, you're pursuing education at a higher level, you're working harder, gaining more money, owning more businesses, doing better things with your family, they must find a way to strip you the fuck back down so that they maintain control in their mind, because they fear being the one that is subjugated and and having revenge exacted on them for all the evil things they've done in this world. This is what happens. And with the history of this country, if you don't respect or you don't know Black American history, this is why you allow these things with politics to happen. Because if you studied our history, you would know exactly what the fuck they're going to do next, because they've done it to us every single time we rose up out of a situation that they created for us that was an extreme barrier. Keep all that I'm telling you in mind, because I tell you no lies. So when you listen to the lady coming behind me, which is Nosy Neighbor Lady, her take on the Democratic Party is incorrect, okay? There is no party that is 100% ever working for the people in this country. You gotta know that. Those people in those offices, those representatives, they're there for money. Anybody, they could get bought and paid for. Anybody that sends a lobbyist to them with a big chunk of cash, they're gonna get them to do whatever they want. Any pharmaceutical company, big pharma as you guys know it, they want to push junk into our bodies. These assholes will sign the bills for it. So you got to be up to date with how these people carry on. The character of what they do determines the content of how they represent us. So you got to keep all of that in mind. And you can't let people like Divested Zealots channel and others try to persuade you that one group of angry, very racially prejudiced white men are going to just make America so beautiful for you. Roll out the red carpet and make it where roses and fucking water lilies run in front of your feet for you to walk on them. That's not what they're going to do. They're going to make it where you won't be able to get a job, you won't be able to work, you won't be able to afford housing, and cops will, and you'll literally be living in a police state. That's the type of shit they produce, that they scream about in every election, every campaign trail, and anytime society gets somewhat chaotically out of control, they try to turn every fucking situation around back onto the black community to get everybody's attention focused on them and not on the real issue at hand. Case in point, the big fiasco and bullshit they just did with Carly Russell. Now the reason that particular black woman got all that goddamn national press coverage was because Unbiased and Unbossed exposed that there was a huge mass shooting. I didn't hear about it, and I'm quite sure none of y'all did either. A mass shooting happened by one of these immigrants that's being bussed in to places like New York City and all the other, not harbor states, mine is a harbor state, but harbor locations from Texas, from, where else do they come from? They come from Texas, they're coming from all the border states. I can't think of it right now. But when they're coming here, and those racist, Florida and etc., those racist Republican governors and mayors and etc. don't want those mostly Hispanic people in their states, they send them to the Democratic states, right? And all of those people are not good people. A lot of them are child molesters, traffickers, criminals, just like Trump had said a long time ago, right? And now they're mass shooters. So this particular dude who came in that way through immigration, he killed a whole bunch of people, and he killed a police officer. And so, because like I told you, November is coming, And within 2 months, everybody's going to be on their campaign trail talking about how they're going to be tough on crime and trying to make black people the issue, when you know black people are not the issue. The issue is these people in these representative offices, they get budgets and they get extra money from the federal government to make housing affordable, to make crime not an issue, to make employment easier and more accessible, to make neighborhoods safer, to make poor people's lives easier, to make businesses that poor people can obtain, start, begin, franchise, etc. at your fingertips. But instead of them doing their job, they're busy trying to pit different ethnicities against one another, hate monger, try to make everybody believe that everything wrong with America is black people, or specifically black women's faults, outside of the crime that black males commit and others. It's ridiculous. And you got to get to the point where you see through that shit and you put the right people in office so that your rent could come down. When you go look for a job, the fact that affirmative action is gone, people will still deal with diversity and inclusion without having the federal government have to enforce inclusion upon them, especially if they're a company or organization or an association that receives Title VII fundings from the government. Listen, you got to be able to see through all this shit, see it when it's happening, see it when it's not, and then go gravitate towards the people that really are representatives or activists or grassroots organizations out here that are for the people. Enough of this shit where you putting people in office that are for white people, rich people, and everything white. We don't need that bullshit. We need people in office that are going to be there for all types of people, especially for the poor people, especially for people who don't have and are willing to put the programs in place to give people everything we need. That's the shit you should be voting for. Not no bullshit block party just because some fucking avatar on a YouTube channel that you don't really know if they're a real black woman or not, telling you all of this anti-black shit that you're swallowing, gobbling up like they got it all down, they got everything right, they know what they're talking about. That's bullshit. I wholeheartedly believe that. So anyway, I'm gonna let you listen to Nosy Neighbor Lady now. And believe me, everything I agree with she's saying, except for the shit about the Democrats, because she's on the same bullshit when it comes to the shit that DZ is on and several other women on here pushing that Republican bullshit. And it's like I say, all those people doing that who don't look at it the way I just explained to you, how you have to look at it in its totality, they're, to me, like the cat that goes to dog school. They're under the illusion that they're one of the dogs until those dogs' primary prey drive kick in and they start chasing their ass around and let them know, no, you're a cat in a dog school. If you get the meaning of that parable, because listen, there's no such thing as faking it till you make it. Either you are or you're not. Period. All right? So either you're going to do the right thing or you're going to contribute to fucking up your lives, your own lives, and everybody else's lives in this country. But do remember that eventually shit will break. When people can't afford food, they can't afford a place to live, they can't find an adequate job that gives them a livable wage or gainful employment, they will go the fuck off. And it will be a level of anarchy in society that you will not fucking believe. So you have got to stop following motherfuckers, start thinking critically and doing the right goddamn thing. And even when you make mistakes, because you can critically think and still make a mistake, correct that motherfucker. Go back, put the pressure on them to do the right thing. And when they don't do the right thing, you do everything you can do to resolve it. And when that time comes to get them the fuck out and put a better person in, don't you hesitate. All right, y'all, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Let Nosy Neighbor Lady take it from here.
The Democratic Party, y'all want people to get out of jail, and by no means, I'm not condemning you for your beliefs. We just talking about it. We just making a connection. So if you want to hate me and all that good stuff, I just won't be that surprised. Okay, it's just promise. But it's like, y'all is so obsessed with this girl going to jail because she lied. Yes, she told a lie. She didn't slap the shit out nobody. She didn't shoot nobody. She didn't kill nobody. When these niggas, even what y'all just watching this trial about this rap nigga, whether he shot the people or not, with all this shit on his face, smiling in the courtroom. I don't know the nigga. I don't know his songs. But y'all want these niggas to be free and get out. And they do all kind of shit. Shooting up the block, shooting people, mama, kids, uncles, daughters, all this shit. You want them out. Even like that white lady who shot that black lady on that porch. I don't know if she went to jail or not. I can't remember. We didn't really cover it like that. But I think she did get off, or she got charged with a lesser crime. But either way, what y'all don't understand, that we vote for this shit, we go for this shit. Y'all didn't want people to go to jail and stay in jail. So everybody's getting out of jail. So what is the obsession with a girl? She lied. I see the resources. They gave that money back. They said $63,000. That's what killed me about information. They